I need to know how they would respond. What exactly are they going to text to each other?
In our last video, we mentioned that we would be taking a little bit more time between our meetings and between videos that we're posting. And so here we are 2 weeks later with some things that we have learned from the time that we have taken to slow things down a little bit as we move forward.
And I'm really glad that we did, because it made a huge difference to me, I think.
Yes. So one of the big things for me, I was working on a scene, and for this one, I spent a lot more time doing the prep work for the scene and going more in depth in that. And I think that's going to be very helpful for creating a more cohesive scene. And so the more in-depth prep work was figuring out, okay, here is the story setting. Here's what has gone on before. The purpose of this scene. Here are all the characters and what their thoughts are at this time. What are the things that they have been thinking through? What are their current goals? And then what is the purpose of the scene and how do I accomplish that? And this scene, the purpose of it is to change Arnold's mind about a big action that he is going to be taking, and figuring out what are some things that these other characters can say or do that would actually affect this change that we need in Arnold. So I haven't actually gotten to the point of writing those things yet, but I've spent a lot of time laying the groundwork for that.
And for me, what the extra week in between did was it actually gave me a day to clear my mind and spend some time actually writing. But also during this week, we have spent some time, we watched 12 Angry Men and recognized, wow, what skillful storytelling, how much story was concentrated in such a little bit of a time, and how much depth of character. And also reading more in The Wheel of Time from Robert Jordan, recognizing how skillful these people are and how much of a gap there is between my skill level and their skill level, which also in a way served as some form of resistance, recognizing I'm not there and I want to be there.
Yes. And for me, one of the challenges in getting beyond just the outlining portion or the pre-planning of that scene was trying to figure out how to structure the scene. It is with Arnold and Reese in a classroom, and their teacher is talking, or their history teacher is talking about some historical figures, and it is those figures' stories that are actually going to be the impetus for changing Arnold's mind. And I was stuck trying to figure out how to balance the teacher talking, Arnold processing what the teacher is saying and applying it to his own situation, Reese trying to provide his own input based on what the teacher is saying and based on what he knows about Arnold. And I couldn't figure out how to balance those. And what you suggested was to, first of all, separate them out. And so what I plan to do in the next coming weeks is, first of all, just write what the teacher is saying. She doesn't know anything about Arnold's backstory and the way his mind needs to change. So she's going to be teaching. Then I can figure out how Reese is going to use that to try to influence Arnold. And I can write what he may say or do, because his character, he's not really going to be influenced by what Arnold is doing in the moment. He's going to try to use what the teacher is saying to influence Arnold.
And you're right about what he's going to say or do during class while the teacher is speaking?
Yes, if there is anything there that happens there, I would figure that out. And then I would write what is Arnold thinking and or doing during this as well. How does he respond mentally to what the teacher is saying? How does he respond mentally to what he sees Reese doing, a nudge or whatever that Reese is giving to him? how does Arnold respond to that? And then after I have them all separately written out, I can figure out which of those parts do I want to keep and how can I merge them all together in a way that flows and makes sense.
So you have a way now to get past that resistance of I've got to get my structure perfect.
Right.
Writing some imperfect. And my resistance was similar. I've got to get this. It wasn't that have to get it perfect, but very similarly, I need to know what the flow is. I need to know what everybody's thinking to get my scene written. Mine was really more about Vanessa and dealing with the scientists in the fringe and how they're going. I need to know how they would respond. What exactly are they going to text to each other? And getting past I need to demonstrate skill. And remembering, for me, the key was remembering that the purpose of writing this book is not to demonstrate, look at all the skill we have, but to be able to develop the skill. And a lot of that is being willing to make a very bad first draft. So letting go of demonstrating skill was a key thing for me to be able to write. And I felt like I was able to write more during these last 2 weeks than I have in other past 2 weeks.
Yes. So giving ourselves this extra time to be able to focus a little more on the writing process rather than the video creation process has been very helpful. We hope it continues to be very helpful for us in the future. So our question for you this week is similar to how we have faced challenges and found ways to overcome them. What are some challenges that you have faced and how have you overcome them? Let us know in the comments. We look forward to reading them, and we will see you in 2 weeks.